Are you ready?
Oh, yeah!
From parts unknown and into your home, this is the Groovy G Championship Belt Podcast. Now, here's your host, Groovy G.
Hello there, folks, and welcome to the Groovy G Championship Belt Podcast. On this episode, we take a close-up look at a Dave Millican-made WCW World Title Belt. That's coming your way right now.
You're watching the Groovy G Championship Belt Podcast. For your official Groovy G Belt Podcast merchandise, check out www.groovygshop.com.
On July 1, 1991, Ric Flair left WCW bound for the WWF. Only problem was, he was still the WCW World's Champion, and he still had the belt. WCW Executive Vice President Jim Herd refused to return Flair's $25,000 deposit that was left with the NWA, so Flair took the big gold belt with him north. A new belt was ordered from the King of Belts, Reggie Parks, but it wasn't ready in time for the July 14 Great American Bash. Some quick thinking resulted in WCW using a belt owned by Dusty Rhodes from the defunct Championship Wrestling from Florida. This belt was modified with the words WCW World Heavyweight Champion over the previous logos. Lex Luger won this makeshift title belt after he defeated Barry Windham in a steel cage match for the vacant championship, and he was crowned the new WCW World Heavyweight Champion. A new belt appeared shortly after. Made by Reggie Parks, this new belt had 5 plates with a logo plate and a gold tip. Both the side and the main plates very much resembled the Winged Eagle title belt, also made by Parks, that was currently being used by the WWF during the same period, minus the twisted bars. Now, this belt that you see in front of you was made by the Ace of Belts, Dave Millican, using the original artwork by Reggie Parks. If we start on the left-hand side, we can see the Dave Millican signature stamp. Inside the male snap boxes, we see a very different style of tooling. Now, this is the original style of tooling that you saw on the belt on TV, not the usual Midwest style camo tooling. In my interview with Reggie Parks, that you can catch right here on the Groovy G Championship Belt Podcast, Reggie told us that sometimes a company would request the style of leather tooling they wanted, and sometimes they would just allow him to do what he thought best. If you haven't already done so, make sure you check out that interview and subscribe to this YouTube channel so you don't miss a thing. Getting back to this belt, and as we move along, we can see the small side plates with the wrestlers inside the wreath. Here are the larger side plates with the globe. And here's the main plate. Up the top we can see the WCW logo, the words World Heavyweight, the globe, Wrestling Champion, and the stars and swirls on the sides. Let's move over to the right hand side, and again we can see the larger side plates with the globe and the smaller side plates with the wrestlers inside the wreath. Moving along, here's the logo plate and the female snap boxes with the tip. Now, this tip is just a plain gold tip. The original ring use belt had the words WCW Champion etched onto a relief plate that sat on top of the tip. And if I flip it over, we can see that it's just one solid piece of leather covering up all the bolts on the back. Now, this new belt was used until June 1994, when Flair, who had returned to WCW, won and unified the WCW World Heavyweight Championship with the WCW International World Heavyweight Championship, which was then the returned big gold belt. Once unified, this WCW title belt was retired, and the big gold belt once again came to represent the WCW World Heavyweight Championship. So there we have it. That's a Dave Millican-made WCW World Heavyweight title belt. Now, let's take a sneak peek at what's coming your way on the next Groovy G Championship Belt Podcast.
On the next episode of the Groovy G Championship Belt Podcast.
Hey everybody, this is Josh Hammer. I'm going to be up next on the Groovy G Championship Belt Podcast. See you then.
That's right, folks. On the next episode of the Groovy G Championship Belt Podcast, we talk with the brother of the belts himself, Mr. Josh Hammer. In the meantime, make sure you don't miss a thing by subscribing to this YouTube channel, and you can join in the conversation on Twitter at Groovy G Belt Show or on Facebook. Until then, take care. It's bye for now.